Faster My, a very good evening to you and welcome to Today at the Guild.
Manx Radio's coverage of the Manx Music Festival is brought to you by SpectrumWindows.im.
And what a busy day it has been. There's been so much going on and so much still going on as I left the villa just a couple of hours ago. What have I got for you tonight? I've got a wonderful folk song. I've got 3 more qualifiers for the Sheffield Plate, some lovely young voices to sing for you. A piano duet. Got some duets, adult duets from brilliant classes in the Promenade Suite last night. In fact, the village management had to be brought to the door last night because there almost was a health and safety issue down in the prom. There were so many people who wanted to come in and listen to the singing. Now that's got to be a good sign, hasn't it? A little bit of spoken word for you and some brass band music because we've still got some winning performances to catch up on there, and I thought this would be a first-rate way of starting the programme. Now, I've been talking about the concert class for the bands where they each have to put on a mini concert, a variety of music with introductions and just like a small concert, except it's only 20 minutes per band. And as well as a band who wins, which in this instance was a definitive win. Well, it was a definitive win by Manx Concert Brass with 92 marks. But Douglas Town Band and Russian Silver Band were close behind, Russian in second place with 91 and Douglas Town Band with 90. But there is another award which doesn't necessarily go to the winner of the class, and that is for the most entertaining performance. Now, sometimes this can be just the way the music is presented. Sometimes it's because the band come in costume, or sometimes it's just because they take you to another world. Douglas Town Band won the award this year for the most entertaining performance, and here it is. One especially for the James Bond fans there. I wonder how many of the films you could name as you were listening to that. Most entertaining performance, the award went to Douglas Town Band. Now, a folk song for you. The folk song class always attracts a big audience because of the variety as well as the skill. Who could forget the wonderful Lawrence Kermode, competing when he was 100 years of age and competing authentically, not just, struggling along, but going there. And do you remember he would always have a funny introduction to his folk song? He would always have a little quip as he was. The one that sticks in my mind was that he was stepping out boldly there and climbing up onto the stage, but he obviously took the stairs a little gingerly, and he said, "Oh, that's it." He said, "The parish walk's done for me." I shall always remember that. And the fact that he was always so ready to have a chat and give an interview. A wonderful man. But the folk song class is in safe hands. Lawrence Kermode might not be with us, but there are some very, very skilled singers choosing a great variety of music. And of course, this is always open to interpretation. It's what the adjudicator feels to be a folk song. And that's quite a broad interpretation. So some of them like very, very traditional folk songs and tend not to accept some of the more modern ones. But some of them don't like, or not particularly drawn to the amusing songs. But last night's adjudicator, who for this particular class was Gary Sealing, he gave first prize to Richard Corlett for a moody and beguiling version of a very well-known Manx folk song. And I was just thrilled to hear Richard singing and see him up on the stage there, because, well, I remember when he was a very young boy, he was a member of Gale Force, and you remember when we didn't have the Villa Marina when it was being restored and refurbished, and the guild was split between various sites, chiefly the Promenade Methodist Church and the Gaiety Theatre. And I remember going to the upper hall in the Promenade Church, and it was the junior folk song class. And I remember Richard there, little scrap of a thing he was, and he was semi-in costume. He had a big floppy cap on, and he was singing Hello Little People, and he raised his cap at the appropriate moment, and he was absolutely enchanting. And as he got older, very supportive to the young people of Gale Force, very encouraging. A great support to Barbara Gale, I'm sure she would be the first to admit. And now he's a teacher, and of course he can inspire lots more youngsters. But lovely to hear him competing, singing in his own right. Winner of the adult folk song class with 89 marks, it's Richard Corlett.
Snaefell, Tynwald, Ben Macree, 14 ships have sailed the sea, proudly bearing a Manx name. But there's one we'll never again. O Ellen Vannon of the Isle of Man Company. O Ellen Vannon, lost in the Irish Sea. At 1 a.m. in Ramsey Bay, Captain Tier was heard to say, "Our contract says deliver the mail. In this rough weather we must not fail. O Ellen Vannon of the Isle of Man Company. O Ellen Vannon, lost in the Irish Sea." With a crew of 21 Manx men, her passengers Liverpool businessmen, farewell to Mona's Isle, farewell. This little ship was bound for hell. O Ellen Vannon of the Isle of Man Company. O Ellen Vannon, lost in the Irish Sea. Less than a mile from the bar-light ship, by a mighty wave Ellen Vannon was hit. She sank in the waters of Liverpool Bay. and there she lies until this day. O Ellen Vannin, of the Isle of Man company, O Ellen Vannin, lost in the Irish Sea. Few Manx men now remember the 3rd day of the month December, the terrible storm of 1909. Ellen Vannin sailed for the very last time. O Ellen Vannin, of the Isle of Man company, O Ellen Vannin, lost in the Irish Sea, lost in the Irish Sea.
Wistful and beguiling, and a very fine voice. Richard Corlett, winner of the adult folk song class. Incidentally, Olivia Black was in 2nd place, just a mark behind with 88. Her choice of song, which I haven't had a chance to listen to yet, is Good Thing He Can't Read My Mind. I just leave you to think about that one. I maybe if there's a corner in the programme a bit later in the week, we'll see if we can find that and just listen. I've got a feeling that it'll be another Olivia Black special, don't you? Right, let's listen to some young voices now. 3 more contenders for the Sheffield Plate. The highest honour that the Guild has to offer are young singers, recognising promising voices. And there will be judging by the ones who qualified for their places already, it's going to be another most enjoyable competition, and it will be on Friday night. I'll give you a little more detail about that in a few moments. So we had some solo voice classes. That's how the young people earn their place in the competition for the Sheffield Plate. It's by winning their solo voice class, and these are 3 young people who just sailed to victory. And we're going to listen first to Daisy Quinn. And Daisy was in the girls' solo for years 5 and 6. So again, we're looking at young voices here, around about 10-year-old, 11-year-old. The accompanist is Gareth Moore. A big class. There were over 50 young people singing in this class, and lots of lovely voices. But it was Daisy Quinn who took top honours. She earned 89 marks and a place in the final for the Sheffield Plate on Friday night. And this is Daisy. She's going to sing for us Little Boats. It's a song by Herbert Hughes. And as I said, the accompanist is Gareth Moore. This is Daisy Quinn. Now, I thought that was quite a difficult song, but Daisy didn't make it sound difficult at all, did she? Class winner there, the girls' solo, years 5 and 6. That was Daisy Quinn. So, having played for over 50 young ladies singing in that group, Gareth Moore, then had to play for some very gifted young men. This is the boys' treble solo. Again, it's years 5 and 6, and again, the winner earns a place in the Sheffield Plate final on Friday night. And that place goes to Zach Colligan, and he had 88 marks singing another song by Lynn Marsh. If you were listening last night, you will perhaps have heard that the other two singers who've already qualified also had Lynn Marsh songs to sing. And this one is called Ride Out the Storm. Here's Zach Colligan accompanied by Gareth Moore. That was wonderfully expressive singing, wasn't it? There we were, riding out the storm on that boat. I was feeling really quite chilly listening to that. The accompanist Gareth Moore, and it was Zach Colligan who was singing for us, and he'll be singing again the same song on Friday night. The other place that has been awarded was the class that we started the afternoon with in the Promenade Suite. Change of accompanist now. Graham Kirkland is the accompanist for this class, and he too, like Gareth, had to work quite hard. We had over 40 young singers taking part in the girls' solo for years 3 and 4. Another Lynn Marsh song this time, something that I think we probably all enjoy doing as long as we think there's nobody listening, singing in the bath. This is the class winner with 88 marks. Will you welcome Kendra Metcalf?
Singing in the bath is such a lovely thing to do. Shut the bathroom door and you're a star. Nobody will hear you when the water starts to flow.
And that, great song, great singer, Kendra Metcalf. She was singing in the Bath. Well, actually singing in the Promenade Suite, but you know what I mean. 88 marks in a class win. Well done to Kendra. She too will be singing that song again in competition for the Sheffield Plate on Friday night.
Manx Radio's coverage of the Manx Music Festival is brought to you by SpectrumWindows.im.
And, do you know, I can't believe that it's only, where are we? It's only Tuesday today. In fact, I got myself completely confused talking to my engineer, my tower of strength, Tim Price. And I got myself completely confused. And he said, very gently, very patiently, as Tim does, he said, it's only Tuesday. And I was racing ahead to the classes on Wednesday and wondering why nothing was making sense. But there's so much happening, so much good stuff happening. And two ways of joining in the Guild. If you possibly can come down to the Villa, come down and join us. The class is going on all the time in the Royal Hall, in the Promenade Suite. You can choose between the two. You can move from one to the other effortlessly and stop and have a cup of tea in the cafe on your way. But it is a great variety, and it's lovely if people. I know it's difficult during the day, but having an audience there does make such a difference to the performers. We had a lovely morning with all the instrumental and music making groups. I'll be telling you the results of those in just a few moments. But I've got a few duets for you to listen to now. And I think what we need to do first is to catch up on some results, because we've got evening classes and from last night that I wasn't able to give you the results. So let's see what we can catch up on. Let me see. I've got some more piano to tell you about, but I'm going to save those for a moment because I've got some piano for you to listen to. So we'll just hold those results for a moment. Leader classes in the Promenade Suite yesterday, and there's a leader class for each voice type. Unfortunately, nobody is competing in the mezzo-soprano class this year, but we had a first place for the wonderful Ruth Tickle in the leader soprano class. Well done to Ruth with 88 marks. In the mezzo-soprano leader class, Debbie Gooding won that with 86 marks. Congratulations to you, Debbie. This is an own choice of any leader song. So you do get a really nice variety within the classes. The tenor class for tenor leader was won by Kevin Mort with 84 marks. And for the baritone voice leader, it was a win for John Qualtrough with 87 marks. Matthew Quinn in second place there with 86. And Harry Galbraith was the winner of the leader for the bass voice. He won the class with 86 marks. Still in great voice. Always good to see Harry competing. And there's a little bit of Guild, not Guild history, but you know how we like our little sort of human interest stories along with the Guild. And Alan Wilcox back in competition, singing in competition in a solo voice class, 50 years since he won his first Cleveland medal, and still in wonderful voice. Still, like I said about Laurie, still competing authentically, not just being there, singing splendidly. I'm quite sure we'll be featuring him in one of our programmes before too long. So there we are, results of those leader classes. We've talked about the folk song. So duet classes. Now these were in the Promenade Suite last night. They followed on from the folk song class, and they're for various voice types: mixed voice, male voice, lady's voice, and the winner of each again will go forward to compete on Friday night for the Belawn Rose Bowl for the best vocal duet. So we started off this group of classes with the mixed voice duet, and the first place went to Ruth Tickle and our own Dr. John, also known when he's moving in music circles as John Snelling. And their accompanist is Patricia Cullen, and they chose Papageno and Papageno by Mozart. And this is the class winners, Ruth Tickle and John Snelling.
Bist du mir nun ganz ergeben? Nun bin ich dir ganz gegeben.
Ruth Tickle and John Snelling, and that was their accompanist there, Patricia Cullen, and they were class winners there with Work by Mozart. Now, the thing about these voice duet classes is that they are own choice. So you might very well get a duet like that from a very classical background, or you could, on the other hand, have a duet that originates with the work of Scott Joplin. That was the choice of Olivia Black and Mandy Griffin, and they were the winners of the Ladies' Voice Duet class. Again, Patricia Cullen is their accompanist. 89 marks, a place in the final for the Blount Rose Bowl, and this is their choice.
If you have any time to spare, then let me sing you my catchy new song. When there's happiness in the air, to enjoy yourself cannot be wrong. Maybe rather I would like to hear a funny story to bring on a smile. So could people draw near? The entertainer is here, and I'm the greatest for many a mile. I'll give you all a dance, a comedy romance, and I will demonstrate a magic trick or two. I'll juggle with my hat, become an acrobat, anything else you might want me to do. I'll play the violin, a whistle made of tin, so come and listen to the entertainer man. I do not charge you round, just pass the hat around, so please continue to all you can. Entertaining the world's my trade, and so I treat all my life as a show, for I'm part of the grand parade that sets people's hearts all aglow. You'll enjoy yourself, never fear, so come relax and sit down for a while. Now good people draw near, the entertainer is here, and I'm the greatest for many a mile. I'm the greatest for many a mile.
Well, that was appropriate, wasn't it? The Entertainer, the vocal version of the instrumental by Scott Joplin, Olivia Black and Mandy Griffin, class winners in the Ladies' Voice Duet. And the competition for the Blount Rose Bowl is completed by a male voice duet. And here we had a very convincing class win for brothers John and Terry Qualtrough, 90 marks. And they chose a piece that, in fact, John is going to introduce for us.
We should like to sing for you Ori the Dane, set to an old Manx air, arranged by Mavis Kelly. In 50 keels and 5, rushed over the pirates' swarm, horn and sound of a northern high, hawks on the wings of a storm. Blood upon the talons and beak, blood from the heels to the helm. Blood on hand and blood on the cheek in 50 keels till 5. And lo, for the George straightway, in honour of Odin and Thor, and the blazing light is as bright as the day, as a gift to the gods of war. Put down to the melting sand, and over his flaring mast. Those 50 and 5 they have burnt as they stand, to the tune of the surf and the blast. patriot Manx, the right overthrown by the wrong. For the sword hews hard at the staggering ranks, and the spear drives deep and strong. And Ori the Dane stands proud, king of the blood-stained fields, lifted on high by the shouldering ranks of the battered mass of his shield. Yet though such a man of blood, so terrible, fierce and fell, King Ori the Dane had come hither for good, and governed the clans right well. Though he came a destroyer, I wis, he became a ruler to save. And there he sleeps in the hillside kissed, and there he sleeps in the hillside kissed. They call King Ori's grave.
Thank you to brothers John and Terry Qualtrough for the story of Ori the Dane.
Manx Radio's coverage of the Manx Music Festival is brought to you by SpectrumWindows.im.
So that's going to be a battle of the giants on Friday night, isn't it? Three fine pairs of duets there that will be competing for the Bilown Rose Bowl. Now, let's move on to pianos with some results for you. Chris Jacobs has been having a very good guild. In fact, there's a very funny little bit of video on the Manx Music Festival Facebook page. If you do anything at all on Facebook, I would recommend that you have a look at the Facebook page. Zoe Cannell is doing an absolutely superb job at getting not every winning performance, not a photograph of every winner, but a representative selection, as she says, trying to get across all the disciplines to give a flavour of the festival. And she also has lovely little stories to go with them and great pictures. She's also got a very funny little bit of video of Chris Jacobs staggering out of the Villa Marina under the weight of trophies that he's collected over the last day or so. It's they're all very, very well earned, but it is quite a comical. It almost looks as though he's making off with the loot, but they were all hard won. He played very, very well indeed. But as I say, Facebook, if you go on it at all, even if you're not particularly fond of it, it's well worth looking at the Manx Music Festival page. It really does give you a flavour of the festival. Zoe Cannell's in charge of it, posting up the photographs, and she is doing a fantastic job. I don't know quite how, because there's often classes being judged and the winners being announced within moments of each other, but she flies around like a gazelle and gets the pictures. Well worth taking a look. Now, let us resume. I gave you some results last night. This is the piano solo class Any Age, and this was where we have another win for Chris Jacobs. These are a choice of two test pieces, and Chris chose an intermezzo by Brahms and was a class winner with 86 marks. Then he won again, and this was for a sight test. And he was competing against John Riley. They often do square up to fight in this class in the nicest possible way. And the honours this time was second place for John with 87, first place for Chris Jacobs with 88 marks. And in the pianoforte accompaniment class, this is where competitors are required to bring their own soloist and perform a piece of not more than 4 minutes duration, from which the quality of accompaniment will be judged. And this was Jonathan King teaming up with Mandy Griffin, and a win there with 90 marks. So congratulations there. A piano solo for young players. This is playing from memory. This is for 16 to 18-year-olds, and it was Ryan Lackadin who won that with 83 marks. And then playing from memory for adults, it was a win for Chris Yeagus with 87 marks. And then we finished the evening in the Royal Hall last evening with leader voice and piano. And again, this was the pianist being judged with the singer, and produced a win for John Qualtrough, singing the leader, and Roy Storrs, his accompanist. And they won with 86 marks. The other class that took place, it was one that was won by two of our they're well-known singers, teachers, and also as piano duettists. They are Kath Blackburn and Wendy McDowell, and they had a very convincing victory. They won the piano duet class with 87 marks. It's an own choice class. There's a time limit of 8 minutes, but you can make up that 8 minutes in whichever way you wish. And this is a part of their winning performance. I don't think you'll need me to tell you the name of the piece of music. I think you'll recognise it. A real standard. Just enjoy the arrangement and the winning playing from Kath Blackburn and Wendy McDowell. A little bit of piano magic, Deep Purple there from Kath Blackburn and Wendy McDowell. Their second piece of music was a wonderfully complicated piece that I will play for you just a little bit later in the week. That's just to give you a little flavour of their winning performance. Now, I was talking about the duet classes in the Promenade Suite, but the evening didn't finish with the ones that you've heard. We also followed that on with Any Voice Trio, and that was a win for Manx Voices. That was Linda Green, Angela Stewart and Caroline Fernie-Kane. They won the class with 88 marks, and a great version of Alexander's Ragtime Band. They also looked fabulous in very sparkly bow ties and waistcoats. That was followed by a quartet for sopranos, altos, tenors and basses, and the Shimmers singing that lovely Bob Chilcott song, The Lily and the Rose. They won the class with 85 marks. Then quartets for tenors and basses, and the adjudicator Gary Sealing congratulated Nick from who's I'm sorry, I'm lost for a word here, because I was looking at the result here, and in fact there were 4 groups of young men singing in this class, and Nicholas Roberts has trained them all in his capacity as music teacher at Ballacameen High School. And the adjudicator, Gary Sealing, congratulated him on being able to produce 4 quartets, because getting young men to sing is not always the easiest thing, is it? However, Nick Roberts seems to have the magic touch, and his 4 groups were singing, and very little separated them. I Barbieri were the winners with 87. There was another group, and Nick, forgive me, I cannot pronounce this. It begins with an F, and it looks very, very complicated. But the other groups, one in second place, the name I simply cannot pronounce, Nick, forgive me, got 86 marks, and then the 2 groups behind them had 85 marks each, but they were all from Ballacameen, and well done to you all, boys, for taking over that class, and Nick for getting young men to be singing. And then we finished the evening with quartets for sopranos and altos. Only Sisters Aloud were in second place with 87. They shared second place with Manx Voices Dreamers. They also had 87. And Moraine Older singing a lovely Gershwin song, Embraceable You. They won the class with 88 marks. Now, just because I don't play music from a class, I'm just saying this again, it's not because I'm leaving anybody out, it's just to try and give as much variety as possible to the classes, and it doesn't mean to say that I won't come back and include something to make a mix in a subsequent programme, because I'm happy to say we'll be going to the Guild at 9 o'clock every night this week. But spoken word is what I'd like you to listen to now, because there have been some very fine performances. Now, the difficulty is for spoken word to record it well, you need a very, very quiet environment. And of course, we can't get that at the Villa. So I'm afraid that what you're going to hear now, it's a class-winning performance that had 90 marks, but please forgive me, there is a little bit of background noise in it, but I do hope that it won't spoil your enjoyment of the piece. I'm just going to give you some results ahead of that, because we have, as I say, heard some fine spoken word. And the results I'll just bring you up to date on. First of all, spoken word for years 11 to 13, so that's 16 to 18-year-olds. And it was any poem or extract of a poem by any poet, just 3-minute time limit. And Aileen Wilson chose to read from Under the Hazy Blossom Laden Sky and took the class with 87 marks. The duologue class for adults was a first place for Anita Cashin and John Cashin with 87 marks, and they were PC Wibble and Mrs Wibble from Skunk Poonery, which over the years has been a very popular choice for material. Public speaking for adults, I wish I had heard this. This was an evening class. I wish I'd heard this, because Noel Kringle took first place, 90 marks, and the choice of subjects that he picked was risk assessment. Goodness me. I wonder, I'm sure he had plenty to interest and amuse us on that one. Well done to Noel Kringle, 90 marks for public speaking. But now I'm going to play for you Anne Clark, who won the spoken word class. Again, this is like the one that Aileen Wilson won. This is spoken word, but adults, any poem or extract of poem by any poet with a time limit of 3 minutes. And Anne Clark's choice was Pilot's Wife by Carol Ann Duffy. She won the class with 90 marks, and here she is now.
Pilot's Wife by Carol Ann Duffy. Firstly, his hands, a woman's, softer than mine, with pearly nails like shells from Galilee, indolent hands, camp hands that clapped for grapes. Their pale, mothy touch made me flinch. Pontius. I longed for Rome, home, someone else. When the Nazarene entered Jerusalem, my maid and I crept out, bored stiff, disguised, and joined the frenzied crowd. I tripped, clutched the bridle of an ass, looked up, and there he was. His face, ugly, talented. He looked at me. He looked at me. My God, his eyes were eyes to die for. Then he was gone, his rough men shouldering a pathway through the gates. The night before his trial I dreamt of him. His brown hands touched me, then it hurt, then blood. I saw that each tough palm was skewered by a nail. I woke, sweating, terrified. Leave him alone. I wrote a note, then quickly dressed. When I arrived, the Nazarene was crowned with thorns. The crowd was baying for Barabbas. Pilate saw me, looked away, then carefully turned up his sleeves and slowly washed his useless perfumed hands. They seized the prophet then and dragged him off, up to the place of skulls. My maid knows all the rest. Was he God? Of course not. Pilate believed he was.
A class-winning performance there, 90 marks for that, for Anne Clark and Carol Ann Duffy's poem Pilate's Wife. And we also know who 3 of the contenders for this year's Cleveland Medal are going to be, the highest honour that the Guild can offer. And we had 3 special voice classes this afternoon decided in the Royal Hall. The special soprano solo class was won by Olivia Black with 88 marks. Judith Barker from Liverpool won the special contralto solo class with 85 marks, and Paul Costain won the special bass solo class with 88 marks. The 3 other places will be decided tomorrow, and we'll be hearing more music from Judith and from Paul in that. But now we're going to hear Olivia, part of her class-winning performance, and this is Roger Quilter, My Life's Delight. Olivia Black, who's qualified for a place in the Cleveland Medal Test.
Thy
And that is how Olivia qualified for her place in the Cleveland Medal final. Her accompanist was Frank Woolley. Now, I said Chris Yeagus was doing very, very well in his piano classes, so we have to include a little bit of music from Chris. And this is one of his own choice pieces. It's a lovely, peaceful little intermezzo. Very sensitive playing there from pianist Chris Yeagus, won several classes. You'll find details of everything that I've just played on this programme on my Guild blog at manxradio.com. I'm just going to get a cup of coffee and write it now. And the blog will also contain a link to our on-demand facility where you can listen again to this programme or share it with friends and family anytime during the next 7 days. And I'll be bringing you another full roundup of results and winning performances tomorrow night from 9. Competitions resume in the Villa Marina tomorrow at 9:15, but if you can't be there, stay tuned to Manx Radio because I'll be popping in to the Mandate Studio in the morning and Women Today tomorrow afternoon with more results and news from the Manx Music, Speech and Dance Festival. Andy Winter is with you next with the Tuesday Night Late Show, and I'm Judith Ley wishing you a very good night from the Guild. Evi.
Manx Radio's coverage of the Manx Music Festival is brought to you by SpectrumWindows.im.